Hi guys, I'm the Ember, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this fluid simulation in Blender. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so I've opened up a new Blender scene here, and I'm going to delete this light, like that, and I'm going to just delete the cube, Shift A, and make a UV sphere. I'm going to right click on this and shade smooth, and then I'm going to go up to Object, Quick Effects, and Quick Liquid. So that will add liquid. If you press the spacebar to play the animation, you'll see you've got some liquid particles. But we want the fluid to keep coming out, not just one burst. So if we select the fluid emitter there, I'm just going to rename it by hitting F2, or you can go up here and double click. I'm just going to write emitter, like that. And then we can go over to the physics properties and change the flow behavior to inflow. So now if we press play, you'll see that the water just keeps coming out. That's all the settings we're going to need to change on this. So now we're going to select the liquid domain, and we're just going to change this up to 100, like that. Now you'll see that it will be a lot slower, but it's more high quality. I'm going to enable mesh, like that. So if we press play and go to solid view, you can see that it's an actual mesh. And I'm going to enable viscosity. This makes it more gooey. And I'm going to make it 0.01. I'm going to make the end 400. Whoops. 400, like that. The start 1. I'm going to change replay to all, and I'm just going to go back to wireframe view, like that. And I'm also going to change the timeline down here to 400. I'm just going to scale this up, so scale it up like that. Move it so it's right on the floor, like that. And then I'm going to move our liquid emitter up, like that. And then I'm going to add a cube, so Shift A and add a cube. And I'm just going to scale this up the same size as this liquid domain. So if we select this liquid domain, we can go to Item. We can select the scale properties here. So Control C, Control V. Select this one, Control C, Control V, and Control C, Control V. So now it's the same size, but it's not in the same position. So I'm going to go to the location and select this Z here, Control C, select the cube again, and paste that in like that. So now it's exactly the same size. We're having a tiny bit of clipping, so I'm going to make this a tiny bit bigger by hitting S and scaling it out a tiny bit. Now that glitch is not happening. Okay. So now we need to add that object that is spinning around in the middle here. Shift A, and I'm going to add a icosphere. Now before you press anything, you can click this add icosphere option down here and change the subdivisions to 4. Right click, shade smooth. I'll move this up. And then I'm just going to press the / button, and this just isolates this object. And if you press it again, it brings everything else back. So I'm just going to isolate this object and go back to solid view. Now tab to go into edit mode. I'm going to press Shift A and add a cylinder. I'm going to press S.54 like that. So I'm going to rotate this by 90 degrees. You can press R and then type 90. And then they'll rotate it. I'm going to put it in the icosphere, roughly in the middle. I'm going to press Alt-Z to go to X-ray view. Then select all these vertices, G and Y. And we can just move this out to roughly about here. Okay. So now if we press Alt-Z again, that'll turn X-ray view off. Now I want to select this object right here. So we can select this object by hitting L. And then I'm gonna press Shift D, and then you can right click to exit the location. So at the moment, if we try and rotate this, it doesn't really rotate how we want it to. We want it to rotate around the icosphere here, like that. So it rotates around the icosphere here, instead of just rotating in a circle. So I'm going to go up to here and click 3D cursor. Now if you press R, it will rotate around the middle, and we can just type in 90. Then you can press Shift D, and before you click anything, you can press R and rotate it like this. You can hold down Control so it snaps. Shift D again, R, and rotate it like that. Hold down Control so it snaps again. Okay, so now we have this. Now we want to make some on the top and the bottom. So now if we press Shift D and R, it doesn't rotate right, because we're rotating from the origin point, which is right here. So we need to go back up to here and change it to median point. So I'm just gonna R and rotate this 90 again. And you can just move it up. And then you can just basically make it roughly the same like this. Okay, so that's roughly the same. It doesn't need to be exactly the same. I'll just move it down a bit. Like that. Shift D, you can click Z, move it on the Z axis, and put it right there. So now if we tab out of edit mode, we have our object. Okay, so now I'm going to right click and shade auto smooth. So that just makes it smooth. And I'm just going to tab back into edit mode again. And I'm going to select all of these edges here by holding Shift. Like that. Just select them all. So they're all selected. Now I can press Ctrl B to bevel. And scroll your mouse wheel up. So we have some more segments. And then I'll bevel it like that. So it's not as sharp. And then we can press / again to unhide everything else. And I'm going to go back to wireframe view. And I'm going to scale this down. We need to make this collide with the liquid, so we can go back to the physics properties, click fluid, and click effector. So now it will have collision with the fluid. Now I'm going to go back to solid view and select our cube. And I'm going to press / again to isolate that object. Tab, go in edit mode. We're going to change this to face select up there. We're going to X, delete faces. So we have that one face deleted. Press A to select all, right click and extrude faces along normals. And then you can press S to make it even. Just like that. So now it has a bit of thickness. We can unhide those objects again by pressing /. And then I'm going to go back to wireframe view. Okay, so now we're going to select this object here. And we're going to bring the timeline up a bit. I'll just make it so it fits. If you have any existing keyframes, just delete them by selecting and pressing X. Then I'm going to go to the very beginning. I'm going to press I and insert rotation. Then I'm going to go to 400. I'm going to press RX and 720. And I rotation. So now it spins like that, but I also want it to spin along the y-axis like that. I'm going to go back to 400, frame 400, RY, and 720, and I insert rotation. Now if you press play, you see it's spinning. Okay, so now we've done that, we're pretty much ready to bake. So select the liquid domain, and before you bake this, you might want to save it. So hit Ctrl S, and you can save this wherever you want. And you can just name this down here, and you can press save blend file. So now this file is saved, and if anything goes wrong, you can open it again and try it again. And one more thing before we bake, we're gonna click this button here and save this to wherever you want. I'm just gonna save it in the same place that I have my blend file. Then you can just click accept. And then click bake all. This is gonna take a little while to bake. Okay, it's finished baking. Now, if we go to solid view, go back to the beginning and press play, you can see that we have our animation. It's a bit slow, but it is working. Okay, so for the materials, I'm going to use BlenderKit, which is a free add-on, and it allows you to easily add objects and materials. I'll show you how to install that. So open your web browser, and you can type in BlenderKit, and then click BlenderKit download. And then once you're on the BlenderKit website, you can go up to download BlenderKit, and then download the latest version. And then that will save a zip file. If you don't know where it saved the zip file to, you can select this arrow and show in folder, and it will open up a folder, and you can see mine is in downloads. Then we can go back to Blender, we can go up to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and click Install. Then go to where you saved the BlenderKit download. I saved mine in Downloads. And then you can scroll down, and you can see mine is right here. You can click that, Install Add-on, and you see it will pop up here. And then we can click the checkbox to enable it. Just click OK. And then we can close this. So now you'll see it added a little bar up here. And then if we go over to materials, and then you can search for whatever material you want. So I'm going to type in metal. And then you can see all the materials are there, and you can pick whatever you want. So I'm going to go to rendered view, like that. You can see it's a bit dark, so I'm going to go up here, uncheck scene light and scene world. Now, all you have to do to add a material is you can click and drag, like that, or you can select an object and just click. So I'm going to use this one, click, and then you can see that it's put it on. Okay, so now I'm going to select this object here. If you can't see the materials, that might be because this eye is checked off, so you need to click that so it turns on. And then I'm just going to click a material. It puts it on. That's great. Then you can go around doing that with everything. So for the background, I want marble. So you can type in marble. And I'm going to use this marble. So just click it. And you can see it put it straight on. So if your material is too big, you can just go to the shade editor like this. Just click shade editor. And you can go over to mapping. Now you can change the scale down. To change them all at once, you can click and drag. And if it's going too quickly for you, you can hold down shift. I'm going to type in 3. That looks good. You can see that the water already has a material. You can see that it's a very basic material. This material does not work in Eevee. You can see that it looks like it's just reflecting everything, and it doesn't look very good. So I'm going to type in Eevee water. Just like that. And then you can select what water you want. And then you just click and drag it on. Okay, for the water, I don't actually want to use this water shader, so I'm going to make my own. So what we have to do is we can click this X to delete it. Click new. We can just type in water. Like that. I'm going to make the base color blue. I'm going to turn roughness to 0.2. And transmission all the way up. I'm going to go up here to the drop down and enable scene lights and scene world again. I'm going to add a simple light so we can actually see what we're doing. So Shift A, light area, move this all the way up to the top, and make this pretty big. I'm going to make this pretty bright as well, like 1000. And you can see that this order is actually not see-through. So we're going to go up to render properties. click on screen space refraction, and then we're going to go to material properties, scroll all the way down, and enable screen space refractions. Then you can click that, like that, and you can see that it is actually see-through now. Like that. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to do is I wanted to make the edges of this like copper. I'm just going to press /, tab to go into edit mode, and you can press L to select this, and I'm going to enable X-ray view. You can click this button up here or Alt-Z. Then I'm going to hold down Control and deselect this. Now with that selected, I'm going to go to materials, scroll all the way up, make a new one, click assign, and then click new. And I'm going to call this copper, like that. And then tab out of edit mode. I'm going to type in copper. Before you drag it on, make sure you have the copper material selected. Now you can just drag it on like that. Okay, so that's on, and now we need to do the same thing with all the other ones. Tab to go into edit mode. Select this. You can do it all at the same time. And just do that with every single edge. Like that. Make sure all copper is selected and hit assign. So now you can see all of these edges are copper. Okay, now I can press / again to go back. You can hit play and you can see that is looking pretty good. Okay, so now we need to set up the camera and some render settings. I'm going to bring this back down and change it back to timeline. I'm going to select our camera and hit Alt-R to reset rotation and Alt-G to reset location. I'm going to press RX90 and RZ90 like that. And then you can press 0 on your numpad to go into camera view, or you can press this camera icon up here. Then I'm going to hit G and hit middle mouse button to move it backwards, G and Z to move it up, and then G and middle mouse to go backwards again. If you're not using a mouse, you can just hit G and then X to move it backwards, like that. And I'm just going to place it like that. Okay, so that is looking pretty good. I'm going to go into rendered view, and you can see what it will look like, the final thing. Okay, so now if you want to just have a look what it looks like, you can press F12. That will just render an image. Now we can change some render settings and then render it out. So I'm going to go over to the camera icon here, and I'm going to go down to color management and change the look to medium high contrast. And then I'm going to go to the printer icon here. You can set this to wherever you want by clicking this folder icon here. I'm going to change the file format from PNG to FFmpeg video. Go down to encoding, make the container MPEG-4, and change the output quality to perceptionally lossless. That is basically it. Make sure your frame start is at 1 and your ends at 400. Then we can go up to render and render animation. When this render is finished, you'll have something really cool. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you learned something and had fun, and I'll definitely see you in the next one.